story. That's what they want.
You say that you want me. I want you to think what your family would say.
You say Pam Singer was coming?
Think what you're throwing
no, she's
away.
coming on Monday.
Think what the future would be with a boy like me.
Yeah, I'm coming Monday too. Me, Carmine, I went to get your wife. You got tickets. Oh, good. There was 20 left. And then we got them. Now I'm sold out.
Yeah, Teddy Smith, Dawn, don't go away from you, and Candy Girl. It's great to have Charlie Calello right here. The Four Seasons arranger, and he's got a lot of great stories to tell, including his great book that he's written, which we're going to be talking about tonight. Four Seasons Arrangements, right here. Charlie Calello, I want to welcome you to the Teddy Smith Rock and Roll Sometime Show of New York City. How about
Great
that?
to be here.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. It wouldn't be the same without you. Nevertheless, you've done a lot of great things as an arranger for the Four Seasons, and there's a whole history behind it for 2 hours right here at WPAT. To begin with, how did you get involved writing for the Four Seasons originally? I think it was back in, I think it was 1962?
We started before that. I was actually a four lover. I was working in a place
58.
in 58
Right, there you go.
in New Jersey called the Venetians. We had a band. It was sort of like a highbrow band. We were all music students from Arts High School in Newark, New Jersey. And we sang like the Four Freshmen and the High-Lows, and we used to play jazz. And Frankie Valli walked into the club one night, and he heard the band. So he walked around the stage, and he was trying to figure out how it got the sound. So he said, "Who wrote the arrangements?" And they pointed to me. I was 20 years old, and I met Frankie, and we hung out till about 4 in the morning. And then he invited me to go and see a couple of acts that he liked, and I started to hang around with him, and he said, "Boy," he says, "if you could only come and join my band."
It's been like 50 or 60 great years ever since.
Yeah. So then I joined the Four Lovers. This way I could go to college, because I still wanted to study music.
Mm-hmm.
And I joined the four Lovers. I was there for about maybe a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back to the group I was with, which was the Victorians. And Frankie wanted to record. He always wanted to record. And during that period, we recorded a song by the name of Coma Si Bella. That was the first time I ever recorded anything.
Which we're going to play momentarily.
It was written by Carmen De Palma, who I went to school with. He had cerebral palsy, and he went to an arts high school. And he was a riot, because he knew he had cerebral palsy, but his brain was sharp as a whip. So after he graduated, I was out working as a musician. He calls me up. He says, "Charlie, I wrote this song." He says, I need to have you fix it for me. So he played me the song. I put it together for him. I structured it and helped him write the song. And I played it for Frankie. And Tommy says, this will be good for the Italians in our neighborhood. He says, but maybe we shouldn't call it the Four Lovers, because it's not really what we do. So we recorded it as the Romans.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a four lover, and then I was a Roman. And then when I went back to work with the Victorians, Frankie made another record, and he brought it to Bob Crew. And when I left, Gaudio joined.
Bob Gaudio.
And that's how he started to put that together. Now he started to make records with Bob Crew, and Bob said that they needed an arranger. So he says, "Well, we should get Charlie. He's an arranger." So I was on the road, and when I came back, they told me that I should come and meet Bob Crew and start to make records. And the first record we made was an Angel Cried, which was I think it's an Ariana Grande's record right now, and also it was a Jersey Boys. That was the first record we made for Bob Crew. So from that point on, then Frankie kept me as the arranger for the Bob Crew records.
Anything you'd like to tell us about Dawn Go Away or Candy Girl? These two songs?
Dawn was written by Sandy Linzer. Sandy I found from my father. My father was teaching trumpet. My father actually played on Big Girls Don't Cry. He played the trumpet solo, and he used to play on my records. It was funny to have my dad sitting there playing my arrangements. But he brought this songwriter that he was teaching trumpet to, and the songs were not good, but the lyrics were great. And Sandy Lindsay was the lyric writer. So Bob Crew and Bob Gaudio were out. There was some kind of problem they were having. They weren't writing together. So I brought Sandy to Frankie, and Frankie said we should hook him up with Gaudio. So he and Gaudio wrote Dawn Go Away. At their first writing session, they wrote Dawn Go Away. He was a 20-year-old kid, never wrote a professional song. And when they wrote the song, they wrote it like a folk song. And it was very, very simple. And before we made the record, I was on my way up to Bob Crew's office, and Frankie was walking in the building, and he saw me park the car, and he came over, and the theme from Mondo Cane was playing, the Kai Windy record, and it had that rhythm, dum ka dum 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 dum. He says, we should make a record like that. So we went upstairs, and I heard the 5 songs that we were going to record. Now this was going to be the first session that we were going to do for Phillips. So they played Dawn, and I'm listening to Dawn, and I'm saying to myself, this doesn't really
jive.
It's
not working.
Not working.
Yeah.
So I said, give me a few minutes with it. So I started on the piano, and I came up with the rhythm. I said, so maybe we should pick up the tempo, and I came up with the dun dun, the dun dun, the dun dun, and then I changed the chords, structured it. So as I'm playing it on the piano, Frankie was laying on the desk. He was sort of dozing off. He heard it. He jumped off. He says, what are you playing? I said, this is Dawn. He says, oh, man, I love it. So I wrote the arrangement.
And this should be like the best interview, Jim Petrecca, who produced the show. Probably in the last eight years since we've done the show together in 2000. I'm going to mark this as the #1 show. As we progress, you'll see, folks, this should be the #1 show in the last 8 years. But may you continue, sir.
Now, I wrote the arrangement, and I think it was the first record that all of the Four Seasons didn't play on. We had all studio musicians. We went into the studio, we recorded at Atlantic, and Atlantic had an 8-track tape recorder. That was the first one in the city. Prior to that, we were recording on 4-track, and the records were distorted, but they were really cool.
Warped.
Exactly.
That's how you call it, a warped record. But oh yeah, I was just getting a point and a direction to discuss a song called Come Si Bella.
Come Si Bella, I told you, was written by Carmen. And when we made the record, we actually recorded it live. We played the instruments and sang and recorded it all at the same time. And at that point, it was only 2 tracks, so you had to record everything together. And we made the record, and I don't even remember how Frankie got it out, but Frankie was the guy. He made sure that there was a record deal. He made sure that we recorded, and he was focused on that.
Let's play it here at WPAT. The great Charlie Calello right here. What a great story we have to tell you folks. He's going to tell you the whole story about the Four Seasons, about his life working with not only the Four Seasons, but many, many great artists right here in New York and all over the world, I'm sure. WPAT Radio.
So very wonderful and marvelous divine. I still can remember that part.
Come si bella, you are the only one I love. Each night I pray the Lord above that He will make you mine. How can I explain?
What took you so long?
Hi, how you doing? I'm Teddy. Nice to meet you. This is Charlie. You know him, right?
There is someone more beautiful. Someone that I'm yet to see.
Okay, stop